greatest trouble in my career is when my client said I'd stolen his money. I didn't break into his room. The idiocy of the case is that he doesn't want to settle my fees. And guess who I consulted? Called upon the late Akoto. I said, Shay, look at where they are taking me. I said, you shouldn't worry at all. We started the case. The way the case was traveling and the sense of Ampaw and the powers of cross-examining an adversary and the rest of it. The lawyer called us one, they said, let's settle. So, of course, you settle. Well, we settled the matter. And then it was so clear that I was entitled to my money. And it was very cool. We never flaunted his power. That's one of the things I remember about him. And it's when he starts speaking, he's very deep. My heart goes out to the bereaved family. They've lost a giant. They've lost a human person. It's only God who can console you when you have such a loss. May you rest in peace.
Oheneba Media open news papa Oheneba Media and somewhere Koswo Oheneba Media asem papa wo ho Oheneba Media asem kase bi asie Oheneba Media asem pa wo mu oi Oheneba Media asem pa wo mu obi ametie yen.
If we should eulogize lawyer Ampaw writing books, and you could see that my senior was struggling to stop, and I thought it was enough. So, but I've been asked to say a few things. I'll attempt it. It is when you are in trouble that you know whether you are misbehaving or you are being rational. So I got into trouble. My trouble was very terrible. If anybody should say, you've stolen his money and you are a lawyer, your career is on the line. Because no amount of money is equal to you functioning as a lawyer and having your certificate. So my greatest trouble in my career is when my client said I'd stolen his money. I didn't break into his room. The idiocy of the case is that he doesn't want to settle my fees. And guess who I consulted? The same law firm I was trained. I called upon the late Akoto. I said, Shay, look at where they are taking me. I said, you shouldn't worry at all. We started the case. I wanted to cut it short. The way the case was traveling and the sense of Ampaw and the powers of cross-examining an adversary and the rest of it. The lawyer called us one, they said, let's settle. So, of course, you settle. You have a giant tearing into pieces. You have to settle. And guess what? We settled the matter. And then it was so clear that I was entitled to my money. The balance I handed over to the person. So that was our personal bonding. If somebody saves you out of your trouble, it's not just you being colleagues, then you are just brothers. One of the things that I will remember him so strong, and it will never leave me, is his humility. And humility has been defined as power under control. He was so large in his mind. He was so elastic in patience. He has shock absorbers. He would talk about anything. And it was very cool. He never flaunted his power. That's one of the things I remember about him. And it's when he starts speaking, he's very deep. Ordinarily, he was a very calm person. They call it power under control. How I pray that politicians will acquire this disposition, power under control. Another thing I remember about him is that if we are not careful, a man's whole orientation is money. A huge commercial appetite. I never saw that in him. I was always wondering that this man is after money at all. He believed in professionalism and he showed it everywhere. My heart goes out to the bereaved family. They've lost a giant. was a human person. It's only God who can console you when you have such a loss. May He rest in peace. I am very, 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 very happy I'm given the opportunity to one of the giants of Akoto and Co, now a Supreme Court judge, to say a few words about his old friend. Because the jokes, he used to call him what? Supremo. So, ladies and gentlemen, I yield space to His Lordship, Justice Yoni Kulende.
Thanks, Honorable. I think that for those of us who've been here a little longer, you heard my sentiments about Supremo. And I think somehow I have managed to wrap myself back under control. And so I don't wish to say anything more short of just underline what you said. And Honorable will confirm this. I always blamed Uncle Shay up until the day I last saw him. I blame him for my poverty as a lawyer. Of all the things you are hearing about him, and he's the man who is there for everyone, he was a different kind of lawyer. The last thing Uncle Shay did was take money from his client. So practically a lot of his practice was pro bono. And I took after him and called my practice a ministry. And thank God for my brother Atta, who showed me scripture that says, you don't muzzle the cow that treads the corn, because the laborer deserves his hire. So the one who mitigated, and that's the reason they're all insisting I should speak. They don't know I've already spoken, is because as I said when I spoke, Uncle Shay for me was, but for him I wouldn't have survived in that firm. Atta knows that, he knows that, he knows that. Uncle Shay was the reason. He's the reason I'm standing here today. If I'm in the Supreme Court, he's the reason I'm in. He has a huge, invaluable contribution to my emotional makeup, my professional makeup, my value system. So I practiced law till I quit as a ministry, and likely a lot of my practice was pro bono. It always took another man, this man that God brought into my life, who gave me another perspective and said, don't denigrate and abuse yourself, that God doesn't like self-abuse. You have a talent, you serve with a passion, you serve with your heart, and things, there's nothing wrong with being paid for your labor. And she taught me to labor for free. Supremo, I'll check Kwame. He has to leave me an inheritance. That's if he left any money at all. But I know the way that Uncle Shay applied his trade, his investment is in people's hearts, is in the good that he did, is in the valuable things, the lives that he touched. For Uncle Shay, he was dead to money. He didn't work for money, not at any point in time. And that's the man that we are celebrating today. And we can go on and on. My vindication is that those of you who've been here for long, the things that Dr. Shipper's counsel said, the things I said, the things Cabral said, you've heard other people who were not here come to say exactly the same things. The consistency in who this man was, the genius that he is, the dimensions of his intellect. I mean, it's just awesome. And I said here that he's one of the greatest Ghanaian minds that I have ever known. And I'm old enough to speak to this. And Akye was a man, as you said, a legend in his own class. And those of us who are here were privileged to know him, were privileged to be associated with him. He's touched each of us in different ways. And we can continue. It will take us a whole day. We can never finish scripting this man. He was larger than life. We can just thank God for his life. Kweku was in the same room with him. Sometimes when I come to pick his bag, I could actually walk to his room, and if he had money, I would take it. Kweku, since you insisted I should speak, and this is my second round, then you have to say something.
Thank you very much, my Lord. Clearly, everything that is being said has been very consistent with the man I know as my boss, Uncle Shay. For 10 years and counting, we're in the same office. We shared the same room. That office was so small, if you recall. all the things that I learned in examining, cross-examining, in writing, I would say Shay was one of the persons who made it happen.
Split infinitives.
Split infinitives, and split infinitives. Shay would go through the script, you take it back to him, he'll review it and give it back to you. Then you go through it, he gives it back to you, and then finally when it's done, you will see that you've done a good job. Over time, he will write and come and drop it on my desk. Say, go through it. I'm like, who am I? This is Akoto. He's written. He wants me to review the work. But he insists, go, look through it. You go through it. If you have issues, you go back to him. And he was so humble that he would accept the input that I may have made. And that was shame. That was his humility. Talk about humanity. He was there for everybody. I look around, I see people here who consistently came to Shay. Shay would open his wallets. He never cared. Whoever can. Sometimes the stories are so funny. I will sit there and like, oh Shay, but this one cannot be true. Hey, let him have it. Let him have it. And let him have it. He cared for everybody. Each and every lawyer who walked into his office was ready to share knowledge. As for knowledge, yeah, it didn't matter what he was doing. He would stop. He would stop and listen to you and prefer advice. This is something Shay. Clearly, if we are to go on, we will take the entire day because Shay is bigger than life. I mean, for us, he's a legend who lives on. I wake up every day since his passing and I hear his voice on each single matter we do it. Oh, this one, this is that. We'll go on and do this one. We never stop until the time was up. Because Shay believed that you have to exhaust everything. And until you've done that, you will not feel the Akufo spirit. Thank you, our friends from Lulubi, for giving us Uncle Shay. He is a legend, and the legend lives on. Fare thee well, Brother Shay. Thank you.
Pasempa biatia Oheneba Media open news papa Oheneba Media and somewhere koso Oheneba Media asem papa wo ho Oheneba Media asem kase bi asie Oheneba Media sempa wo mu Oheneba Media sempa wo mu obi ametie yen